I have my state title up there as the Deputy Adjutant General for Civil Support. So for cyber, for me, it's all about, it's kind of an extension. I'll look at it a couple of different ways. One is, as a National Guard, we're always ready, always there. We're value for America. We're the nation's solution to a lot of issues. And part of our purpose as the National Guard is we swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, but also the state of Wisconsin. So we're the governor's first military responders. And so whether that's floods or natural disasters or man-made disasters, we would be that first contact. And so initially, from a civil support standpoint, that's what we focus on. You know, what vehicles do we have available in the state if we had to go into high water for flood response? What generator capabilities do we have if people around the state lost power? How could we assist? And cyber is just an extension of that. So I'm not saying, and I'll probably repeat this a couple times, but I'm not saying that we've got it all figured out by any stretch of the imagination. But I thought I'd just give you a little bit of information about how the National Guard in the state of Wisconsin is approaching cyber, and it's really an extension of everything else that we do. I also look at cyber from another perspective, and that's I wear what's known as a dual hat with 24th Air Force. And 24th Air Force reports up through Air Force Space Command and to U.S. Cyber Command. So the military side is approached that way, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. So, put in a plug for my friends down the hall from us, Wisconsin Emergency Management. Many of you saw information about today's briefings or the fact that we're having the summit through Ready Wisconsin. So you're aware, and they've got this great little thing, get a kit, make a plan, be informed. So cyber is just another thing, right? Just another extension. So make a plan. Plan A, don't get breached. Plan B, don't rely on Plan A. That pretty much sums it up. And we've been talking about it all day, about there are those that know they've been breached and those that don't know they've been breached, but virtually everybody's been breached. So I'm going to start from the very top, as far as I'm concerned, from a military perspective. And there's this little place out in Maryland known as Fort Meade. And it's, Marcus mentioned that he was out there for a while, and Dan's mentioned he had time at NSA. But both National Security Agency and U.S. Cyber Command are based at Fort Meade. U.S. Cyber Command is only really about 5 years old. Really stood up October 4 years ago. And their main function, I'm just going to read some of the things because I was like, okay, I'm not a Cyber Command guy, but I can tell you a little bit about it, is they plan, coordinate, integrate, synchronize, and conduct activities to direct the operation and defense of specified Department of Defense information networks and prepare to, and when directed, conduct full-spectrum military cyberspace operations in order to enable actions in all domains, ensure U.S. and allied freedom of action in cyberspace, and deny the same to our adversaries. Pretty big, all-encompassing thing. So the command has three main focus areas: defending the DoD information network, so separate really from the civilian network, but oftentimes riding on the back of the civilian network, providing support to combatant commanders around the world for execution of their missions, and strengthening our nation's ability to withstand and respond to cyber attack. So, in short, a really big bureaucracy. So now we get down, if you work down through the services, we got the Army in the air, they're approaching it. Cyber Command put out a number of requirements, and they told all the services, you're going to fill these teams, and they're going to be built to take care of certain aspects of cyber operations. And they're flowing those down through the services, so Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. And then there's a piece that's both Army Guard and Air Guard, and those come down through the National Guard Bureau to the state of Wisconsin. So, in Wisconsin, we've developed a plan, and it's our cyber strategic plan. And again, it's not perfect, it's not all-encompassing, and it's meant to be, the reason why I'm briefing it today, is we know we have people in our units already that are employed by some of the companies that are represented here. So the more collaboration we can have between the agencies of the government, to include obviously all the 3 digits, FBI and et cetera that we've already talked about today, but also a lot of corporate entities have some great inputs that could assist us and we could assist you. So not rocket science by any means, not expecting you to read the document, not expecting you to read that slide, but I'm just going to tell you a little bit. We have a very small team as it stands today that we're looking to build. And I'll just say that we have 4 main goals in that plan. Read them off. Expand and sustain Wisconsin National Guard cyber capability. Establish cyber education and awareness programs. Forge and maintain cyber operational relationships with local, state, federal, and private sector partners, part of why we're talking about it today, and improve the Wisconsin National Guard operational and command and control capability in the cyber domain. So initially we're looking at, on the Army side, a cyber network defense team of about 10 people, building out of a little bit of current capability as well as bringing more people into units. And on the air side, we have at each of the wings, Madison, Milwaukee, we've got comm flights, small numbers of people that are focused on cyber, and ultimately we'll try to bring in both Army and Air in the state of Wisconsin for the benefit of Wisconsin. Even though they might have service requirements separate, we'll also be able to do some things within the state. So we try to nest as best as possible with civilian practices, so things like NIST, things that Will mentioned earlier, and the big, our cyber hygiene campaign is a piece. Each of the areas that we will address on the right-hand side of the chart, those are the same things that most of you, if you're in the civilian sector, you're going to see as concerns for you as well. So if you see things in our plan that you're like, wow, I haven't looked at that yet or haven't gotten around to it, every private organization, every government organization is going to need to be looking towards, what are you doing, where are you at today in addressing those knowns and unknowns? And it's all about mitigating risk. What are you going to do for the future? And ultimately what we're looking at is having a dashboard ability so that we can mine down through in each of those 4 main goals and get down to where are we currently, where are those places that we know we still need more work to do, and then how can we enhance our relationships with the private sector, if that makes sense so far. So that's in a very short nutshell where we're at from a Wisconsin National Guard overall cyber strategy for how to assist both state government and private sector. We know there's all kinds of reasons when we walk in and we say, hey, we're from the government, we'd like to help. But if you're on your back, you might have a different perspective. And what we'd like to do is have those relationships beforehand so that we, other private sector, other government agencies could also assist. So I thought I would just transition a bit. I know most of our audience is cyber professionals, but I'm sure there's a few people in the audience that are like, okay, we've talked a lot about, well, I got to make sure I do my patching, make sure I do this, make sure I do that. I thought I would just kind of bring it back to a little different perspective. Looking for different graphics, I would say that we all say we're not at war, right? And we don't say that we're being, we don't make a big point of how much is actually going on. But if somebody came to your house and took your TV and ran out the door, you'd be like, hey, somebody stole my TV, and you'd expect local law enforcement, FBI, if it was really that big, to get involved. And for some reason, so far, cyber hasn't gotten to that level, right? So even though every day there's TVs being stolen from all kinds of people's homes and businesses and all that, we have not gotten to the point where we say we are truly at war. I'm not suggesting that we should be saying that. I'm just saying it's just a really different perspective in this domain. Did a quick image search of all the different images you might see about hacking. I mean, it's from the certified ethical hacker standpoint, there's good training going on because you got to know how to do a little bit of offense in order to play good defense. But it's just amazing how everybody and their brother is out there trying to do something to the networks. And I would look at, the perfect example would be, it was 30 years ago already when War Games was the movie. Remember Matthew Broderick playing in that movie? And it's just some kid hacking away. Well, obviously things have changed considerably. There are still those kids that are just hacking away, but there are also that advanced persistent threat that's out there. And very well paid, very well trained individuals and teams working against us. So again, from a personal standpoint, don't get breached, and then have the plan B. So who's the weakest link in all the things that we talk about? It's maybe not us, but it's us. The individual is the weakest link, right? So here's a perfectly good email, right? And I don't know if you can see it from back there, but I just had to make something up. So this site is totally awesome, and it's got a URL on it. And how many people get those emails? Anybody? Hopefully nobody does the little click on the link. I'll tell you a little personal story. I have two people that help me at home, or hinder me at home. That might be the better way. My 11-year-old daughter and my spouse. Shelly's like, yeah, you're in the military. You worry about defense. I just need to get online. I'm like, well, quit taking those emails from your mom with cute little links on them and clicking on them. So she's finally learned she shouldn't do that anymore. But how many other people are out there? So one of the things that I'd advance, it's like we should all just take a pledge today that you go back, you set a policy where you work, and you say, don't send me an email about Bill's retirement party, and then just says, hey, Bill's retirement party, and then click on the attached. Why not just put in the subject line, Bill's having a retirement party at this place at this time? And then if you want to put, and if you really want to see the cute little presentation thing that's attached, it's just one little piece of the puzzle. And if we could get everybody to do that one little piece, it would be a step for why people wouldn't, be clicking on phishing attempts. I went out and looked enterprise risk management. I mean, these are all places that people can go to. But the why bother? A great question. What's in it for you? When a hacker gets into your organization, they're going to go for the lowest hanging fruit. I'll suggest none of us want to be the lowest hanging fruit. So that's just one more piece there. Another piece, so you're all aware that are professionals, but the people that are in the audience that aren't, you can go into your internet options. You can set a little higher security when you're going to some sites than others. You can have it set on high. You can tailor it. You can have some sites that are trusted. Not overly complicated. You can go, Windows help if you need help, Internet Explorer help, Mozilla, any one of those search engines. You can set your internet browser. So you're enhancing your security just a little bit. So in a nutshell, that was a little piece on what the Wisconsin National Guard is doing for the state of Wisconsin, and then a little bit on bringing it down to the lowest level, because after all, we all know we have the weakest links in our organizations, or at home in my case. But just thought it'd be a good opportunity to bring up a couple of things.